Hello and welcome back to another episode of SX Podcast. Excited to be here. I'm Coach Cryptos. Joining me is my typical co-host, Andrew Young. AY, what's going on, man? Let's get it kicked off with the month of November. How's it going?
I mean, a lot of stuff happened in November, to say the least.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've been sort of living in a hole without internet or something. November was probably one of the craziest months, I would say, in the crypto industry since I've been in the industry, which is sort of nearing just over 5 years now. So FTX, obviously, second largest crypto exchange in the world. Officially declared bankruptcy all within sort of a week. Turned out they were also sort of casualties, partly casualties of obviously the sort of the Three Arrows collapse and Luna collapse, but then also looks like there was some malfeasance, or I don't even know what to call it, maybe fraud, and essentially, Alameda Research, which is FTX's sister hedge fund, sustained some heavy losses, and it looks like they sort of plugged the gap by dipping into customer balances. And then when FTX experienced the bank run, the whole sort of house of cards collapsed, all within a couple of days. Yeah, totally crazy month. For SX, I kind of, in a way, this is very bullish, in the sense that what happened on FTX can't happen on SX. So FTX is obviously a custodial centralized exchange. They hold customer deposits. And because of that, users have had essentially no transparency into what was going on with their own assets. That is in complete stark contrast to SX. So obviously we're in sort of prediction markets, so it's a little bit different than FTX, which is more just sort of traditional crypto trading and derivatives. But with SX, everything is non-custodial. So you keep custody of your own crypto in your own wallet. Everything's completely on-chain and transparent. So you can see what's going on throughout the whole, you can see everything that's happening on our block explorer. And so there's not the same level of like opaqueness that there was in FTX. And then finally, rather than being sort of subject to the whims of the FTX founders and sort of the constantly changing terms of service, with SX, it's all smart contract based. You can use the sealer bridge whenever you want to withdraw or deposit. And so to me, it really, it obviously sets the industry back, but it really does sort of, it's a really good selling point for why decentralization and non-custodial platforms are so important. So in some ways, it's a good reminder of that, even if maybe on an absolute basis, it's pretty bad for the whole industry, and could perhaps set us back, who knows, 6, 12, or plus months.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And like you said, just the emphasis on that sex versus dex conversation, not your keys, not your crypto, just those little reminders that sometimes you get comfortable with the platform or with the person, that figurehead. And I was talking to you before the podcast started a little bit about, I had the opportunity to do a podcast with Sam maybe like 2 years ago. And I remember getting off and talking to my wife, and just, man, I was like, this dude is sharp, man. MIT grad, holy mackerel. FTX is popping up on commercials and on the Miami Heat stadium and all this kind of stuff. And you get a comfortability with this figurehead, and then he turns out to be just simply a bum, and that's super disappointing. There's certainly some collateral damage that comes with the collapse of FTX, and it's nice to know SX has no affiliation with it, nor is it going to happen. Just been that decentralized space, that DEX type place. But
yeah, no, and I think I feel like SX is in a very good spot right now. I mean, we're by far the largest blockchain betting platform in the world. We just hit $270 million in bets. It looks like we're going to grow roughly 2x on the year in terms of volume, which is, I mean, I was hoping to do more than that, but given it's been a pretty bad sort of nuclear bear market, and most DeFi projects, they're down sort of 90% plus in terms of earnings and revenue and things like that. Posting sort of a 2x year-over-year growth is not something to sniff at by any means. I think we're at this point pretty clearly by far the most liquid sports betting and political prediction market in the world for blockchain. We sort of generate actual protocol revenue. It's not like we're just it's not like it's just a product that's there or that's sort of propped up by token incentives. There is a pretty clear sort of economic model built into what we've done with SX. And I just think for us, like the core team has been doing this for about 5 years now. We've been grinding away on SX for a long time. We still have the same vision that we had from before, which is let's create the first and largest community-owned blockchain betting platform in the world. I think community ownership, highlighted by all this stuff with FTX, is more important than ever. And so we feel very strongly about the vision, and we're going to continue to execute on that. And I guess just one last point. We initially started SX in the last bear market. And bear markets are actually a very productive time in terms of product development, business development, really everything. There's far less distractions. A lot of the sort of scams in the space get weeded out. And it's kind of, in a way, it's comfortable for us. It allows us to put our heads down and just continue shipping. And as we'll talk a little bit later in this podcast, we've got some really ambitious roadmaps one of which we've already sort of publicly released. We have another huge roadmap that we're going to be releasing in the next couple of weeks as well. And so we're really excited for the next year, next 2 years. And I think bear markets are really what separates teams.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, it's funny you say that because especially you're making that point. It's not just lip service, because a lot of projects they just go dormant, and they're just hanging on for their life in the bear market. And on the contrary, this past month for us, we've shipped 4 or 5 new products or features. Would you mind diving into kind of what November looked like for us in the middle of this bear market, where we're just head down pushing and working?
Yeah, totally. So I think, as I've been telling everyone, I mean, the theme of 2023, and I guess to a certain extent the last little bit of 2022, it's all about product. So we want to continue growing. We want to continue sort of generating sustainable economics. But I think we have the theme that I've been really trying to drill down into everyone's head has been product development. So this is where we thrive. And November was no different. We shipped a number of new features. We shipped search functionality within the sx.bet platform. That's something that people have been asking for a long time. We had sort of soft launched affiliates, and now we've fully launched them. I believe we're tracking around over 40 affiliates already. And we feel pretty good about our process to continue adding more and more. And to me, that's really exciting. It allows us to continue to grow the platform, but also decentralize our marketing over time to the community. We shipped a new deposit flow. So friction is a huge issue for us right now. Obviously, like every kind of Web3 app, I should say. And so this new deposit flow makes it way easier, much more simple to sort of get assets onto sx.bet to actually trade with and bet with. And then finally, most importantly, we shipped 1x2 right before the World Cup started, which is something that we've we've been sort of wanting to get for a long time. It was one of the most requested features by the community. So I was really happy that we got that out right before the World Cup. And it's been a huge boost to volumes. I mean, World Cup games have pretty consistently had over $50,000 of betting volume. And a huge percentage of that is 1x2. So I'm really proud of the team and how everyone's sort of come together over the last month. And I would just say we're very excited to put our heads down and get to work.
Yeah, and the proof is in the pudding. And like you said, the 1x2 has been, just on the outside looking in at that deal has been huge in terms of usage and the popularity amongst the community. So that's exciting. You guys got that done. Now moving into December, it doesn't stop, right? We're just going to keep on trucking through. So what does that roadmap look like? I know some really exciting things that I'm looking at, but talk to us a little bit about what you got cooking.
Yeah, so I'll give everyone sort of a sneak preview of our December/Q1 roadmap. It's all about conversion right now. So we're focused on sort of three core ideas. The first one is the bet mining. So revamping bet mining completely. Bet mining, I think, is really, to me, it's the most exciting aspect of SX. It is the process of decentralizing ownership of SX to our community. Every time you use SX, you earn SX, and it's really the core sort of feature or value prop, to me at least, of SX, which is obviously community ownership through the SX token and sort of the SX network platform. So we haven't. It's time to revamp bet mining, make it a far better UI. We're going to be totally revamping the UI around that, making it much better, much cleaner. And so I'm really excited about that because it's kind of the core value prop of SX, and it's far too hidden in the current sort of platform. And then finally, we're working on a learn to earn program for new users. So learn to earn is a very common feature in crypto exchanges. Coinbase has it. A number of other crypto exchanges have it. Essentially, allows people to educate themselves on all the different facets of SX, and you actually earn rewards for doing so. And so there's so many things happening on the SX sort of ecosystem, and so incentivizing people to educate themselves on it, I think, is it's going to help with conversion, but also help with retention and really just creates an incentive for people to become better educated on everything that we're working on. And then finally, we're also working on totally revamping our sort of the promotions side of SX, relaunching a welcome bonus, revamping the sort of the UI to make it more clear what's going on with all the different things, because there's so many things happening on SX on any given day. You've got tournaments, you've got bet mining, you've got the leaderboards, you've got things like the welcome bonus, you've got the learn to earn program. So there's really so many things happening in the ecosystem, and just making that all far more streamlined is going to be a huge value add to the platform.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that, with the bet mining 3.0, essentially bet mining hasn't had any significant changes since it was introduced, right? I just love the fact that the team is always kind of, looking back at itself and saying, hey, what can we do to improve this? Asking the community questions. Like you said, 1x2 was the biggest, one of the most voted on things. And there was other handful of things that just managed to implement just by community feedback. And, just like you said, looking in the mirror, looking at your product and saying, how can we constantly improve this? And so with all that being said, you talked a little bit about the past, the last month of November, the present, working on conversion. We got this big, juicy, audacious, awesome goal in front of us for the future with SX Merge. And you made a post about it and ended up kind of blowing up on social media a little bit. So people seem to be excited about it. Talk to us about SX Merge.
Yeah, so the SX Merge is sort of the single most ambitious thing that we're working on right now. It's running in parallel to all of the sort of traditional sx.bet product development, which we're actually going to be releasing a more full roadmap for 2023 this month. So there's sort of two roadmaps you can think of it. There is the sx.bet roadmap, again, which is coming out in the next couple of weeks. And then there's this dual track SX merge roadmap. And essentially what the SX merge is it is effectively our roadmap to fully decentralizing sx.bet. And the way we plan to do that is by effectively merging it, i.e. sx.bet, the application, with the SX network blockchain. And the way that works is by having validators, SX network validators, who are currently securing the chain, begin to take over some of the operations of the actual application and protocol itself of sx.bet. And we're going to be doing this in 3 phases. So phase 1 is all about decentralizing the reporting of SX. So that's essentially the data feeds that power the sx.bet platform. So sports data, political data, crypto price data, having that be supplied by the SX network validators, and which allows us to sort of fully decentralize that. It's almost like building a prediction market chain link price feed oracle directly into the base layer chain itself. And I think it's going to take a lot of work, but we're hoping to get sort of a V1 of that particular phase out in Q1, which we're really excited about. And it's going to be coming with a whole new sort of staking and delegation UI as well. So people will be able to, if they don't want to run a validator themselves, because there's some technical complexity, you'll be able to delegate your staked SX to someone to do it for you in return for a small commission. So it's really going to be, it's a lot, like everyone's going to be able to participate in this. Phase 2 of the SX merge, which is we're hoping for maybe second half of 2023, is going to be focusing on decentralizing the order book of sx.bet. So the plans here are still a little hazy, but it's roughly going to have revolve around having the validators store order book memory data, and then allowing people to essentially, rather than having sort of a central repository for all this order book data, it's going to be distributed across all the nodes and validators in the ecosystem, which we're really excited about. And then finally, the third phase, which is actually the easiest by far from a sort of technical standpoint, is decentralizing the front end, which will come by sort of open sourcing the front end and allowing other teams and other projects to launch their own sort of branded front ends, and allowing people to sort of play more with that. So the order is pretty important. We got to get reporting first. It's actually the most complicated, and it represents the sort of majority of the back end. Then the order book, which is sort of the second half, the second main pillar of the back end. And then finally the front end, decentralizing that directly. And and the end result of that is really going to be a fully decentralized and fully community owned SX ecosystem. And it's going to take some effort, but I'm really excited about that. And it's going to allow us to be essentially the first fully vertically integrated blockchain application. And in some ways, sort of the first true app chain.
Absolutely. I mean, that's like I said, a big audacious goal, but at the same time, I know the tech team and the core team is willing to take on the challenge. And there's a Medium article written about it. The thread that you put together is awesome. Like, too long don't read type version that kind of quickly digest everything about it. On top of what you just mentioned, I think tons of information, kind of what 2023 is going to look like from that standpoint. So thanks for knocking that out, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And as part of it too, I mean, again, the community needs to be involved in all of this. So we're going to be working on the development, but it's important to keep the community informed. And ultimately, the community will have to vote on some of these aspects. on whether to integrate them or not. All we can do is put forward a roadmap and take in community feedback and sort of work on this. So it's going to be really exciting. And again, in a way, it's almost like a good time to be working on this, given the sort of the bear market. One thing I do want to highlight too with the merge is the idea also would be that sort of fee revenue would be going to validators and stakers directly. And so that will take a lot of community input, obviously. But I think it's a really exciting sort of tokenomics upgrade. And it's kind of, to me, it's kind of like the final boss in a lot of ways. If we can get that done, which we're hoping to do over the next kind of year and a bit, I think we're going to be in an incredible position for whenever the next crypto bull market comes. And in a lot of ways, we won't really need it to come back. We can just keep grinding away. So
absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, that does further incentivize, obviously, with the protocol revenue going into the validators, further incentivize more people to, become validators, right? Because you increase the APRs of returns on those validators, things like that.
Yeah, so like protocol revenue is incredibly important to secure the network. Like at the end of the day, the economic security of the blockchain network depends on the fundamentals of the network. And so most protocols right now subsist entirely on token inflation, which long-term is not a sustainable model. And there's only a couple real chains that exist in the world that are even generating fee revenue, let alone fee revenue in excess of token rewards. Actually, I believe there's only one, which is Ethereum. And so I'm incredibly bullish on app chains. I think they're the future of both sort of smart contract blockchains, but also for apps in a lot of ways. And so, I think this really just sets us up to be the leader in that. I'm really excited about it. I guess one thing not to sort of switch topics too much, but we always reserve a little bit of time on the podcast to talk about SharkSwap. What are you seeing right now? What's happening in the SharkSwap farming corner?
Well, I tell you what, I was trying to get some overalls and a nice cowboy hat, but hopefully this little SharkSwap top suffice for it. But no, once again, I've been heavily in the dual rewards. I've been a little bit more in sx.matic farm and sx.USDC farm. They both produce as Shark plus Matic rewards, and I've just been taking a Shark, re-rolling it back into the Shark USDC, taking the Matic, re-rolling it back into the SX Matic farm. But man, there was a little movement of funds somewhere in the TVL, and some APR shot up. I think at this very moment, Shark USDC is around 230% APR, and I know SX Matic is above 100. Sometimes I can be a yield chaser a little bit in terms of APR percentage, but been hopping around those two farms. They've been steady Eddie, and then of course in the Ethereum USDC farm and re-rolling my SX into sx.bet and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, you talk about all the fun that you can have on sx.bet. I think it can't be forgotten how much fun you can kind of have on SharkSwap as well. And Dex Screener, which if anybody's kind of in that DeFi world, probably has some familiarity with it, as also start tracking SX network, and you're kind of able to track token transactions and price data and all that kind of stuff. So that's been really exciting as well.
Yeah, totally. Obviously, none of this is financial advice, but I mean, I take my SharkSwap advice from you. So it is nice to see sort of SharkSwap continuing to grow and sort of weathering the storm and things like that. So before we go, what are your World Cup picks? I mean, it looks like we're down to we're in the quarterfinals now. We got 8 teams left. Who do you like moving forward?
I think I would be crazy not to just say Brazil, just because their success in in overall the years, they still look like the team to beat. But I'll tell you what, man, this has been one of the more exciting ones I've ever watched. Just with some crazy upsets. Morocco playing insane defense. I want to say Brazil because that's a safe thing to say, but at the same time, man, it's been so crazy, you just don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna roll with Brazil. What about you?
Yeah, I actually like France. I think Mbappe's just been crushing it. He looks pretty good so far. And I'm just looking at the odds right now. It looks like so yeah, we have the first couple games tomorrow, or I should say Friday. Croatia versus Brazil. Brazil's obviously a huge favorite there.
Yeah,
Minus 280. So that's roughly 70% favorite. We got Netherlands versus Argentina. That's a little bit closer. It looks like Argentina's a relatively big favorite, but not too crazy.
yeah, not crazy.
And then we got Morocco versus Portugal. I mean, I'm obviously cheering for Morocco. I would love to see them in the semis. That would be awesome. And then finally, England versus France. France is sort of a slight favorite in that. So yeah, I'm rolling with France, I think, for now. But I think you're probably right. Brazil looks unstoppable right now. I think they're pretty safe to get through Croatia, but with that being said, I would have said the same thing about Spain. So
That's right. You just don't know, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing I want to talk about real quick is U.S. midterms. Pretty crazy stuff. I would say relative surprise there. Looks like the Democrats outperformed expectations, kept control of the Senate, while the Republicans took a slight sort of took the House in a sort of with a very slight margin.
Yeah,
and so. Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, a lot of people sort of thought a red wave was coming. It turned out to be a lot more nuanced than that. Herschel Walker just sort of officially lost to Raphael Warnock yesterday to give the Dems a clear sort of 51-49 advantage. So yeah, congrats to anyone that sort of bet on that split control. I was a little bit surprised by that, but at the end of the day, candidate quality really matters, and
yeah,
yeah, I'm excited about 2024. Should be fun to looking forward to it. Yeah.
It's interesting. It definitely that whole deal kind of sparked some interesting conversations about prediction markets, because it seems like the further out that you get, the more personal it is in terms of some of the predictions that you make, and like you said, when it came down to equality, the quality candidates tended to make a little bit more of an impact. So I've been seeing some of the heavy hitters like Nate, I believe it's Nate Silver, I think is his name. Talking about prediction markets and how far off they were and how much. I guess some of the ones he was looking at, so that was interesting, man. It's been a crazy year for a lot of different things, man.
Yeah, I mean, I always say if you don't believe in or if you think prediction markets are stupid, then there's a lot of money to be made, right? Like, it doesn't really make sense to criticize them. You should keep your criticisms private and then take advantage of the inefficiency. But anyways, that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
we're obviously sort of come from a trading background and versus a sort of journalist background. So
absolutely,
that's what you should be doing if you're smarter than prediction markets.
right.
Don't complain about it, just profit from it, and by doing so you make them more efficient. So anyways, we'll see what happens. I'm really excited for the World Cup. It's been awesome to see the community really take soccer's not historically hasn't been a huge driver of volume, but with the World Cup that's obviously changed. And yeah, it's been great to see. I'm excited to see what happens in the quarters, and really excited to get the full roadmap out for the sx.bet sort of product feature roadmap. Get that out to the community and get everyone's input on that, and just keep moving forward.
That's right. Well, to a strong close of 2022. I look forward to it. Thanks so much. Look forward to seeing you next time, man.